Hello everyone, my name is Paul Santilli. I head up the SCIP organization, SCIP, Strategic Consortium of Intelligence Professionals. And we are here at Intellicon 2024 in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm here with my very good friend, Jesper Martell, who is the CEO and founder of Comentelli. Hello, Jesper.
Hi, Paul. Nice to be here.
Excellent, great. Hey, so you've been a long-time member of SCIP and a longer time proponent of the use of intelligence around, making better business decisions and growing the business. Tell me more about what Comentelli does.
You're right. It's actually our 25th anniversary this year for Comentelli.
Fantastic.
So we have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Comentelli, we're a Swedish software company. We provide a software platform for market and competitive intelligence today that we call Intelligence Today. As you said, we've been doing this for a long time. We've seen the industry, different trends, technologies come and go, but it's still a very fascinating business to be in.
Excellent.
And still lots to be left to be done here.
So when you mention trends and roadmaps, I guess, around the business development, how have you seen things changing over from when you started 25 years ago to the kinds of things we're seeing today? I know that's a big question. That can go on for hours, but we don't have that kind of time. But how do you see most of the, at the macro level?
Well, it's interesting, I think, because I think the basics are still the same. It's still about collecting information, analyzing it, categorizing it, and then making deliverables and reaching out to the right people, making sure that it's being used in strategy. I think those basics are still very much the same. I think what changed is very much the speed of everything. Everything is going so much faster,
of course.
And there's so much more information as well. When we started out with competitive intelligence, one of our challenges was actually to find information, and that's not a challenge any longer. It's more finding the right pieces of information. Relevancy, I think, is becoming a much bigger word.
So I think the way that we've been developing around these challenges that you just spoke of, we call it the intelligence value chain. It's really around the chain that is comprised of the data generation and the acquisition and the analytics and the outcomes that you get from it, and then how you feed that back into your value chain by using metrics and ROI and things like that. Yeah, you're right. When the dawn of big data, dawn of IoT, edge compute, the amount of data out there is huge, obviously, goes without saying. But like you say, the challenge is really trying to extract those golden nuggets of information, as I call it. What are those parts that are really relevant to the business to be able to act upon quickly enough in order to change the model?
And you're right. And I think back when we started, it was much more important to just monitor what was going on, key intelligence topics, who are my biggest competitors and markets and customers, etc. So more about monitoring what was going on. I think there's been a huge shift that people are trying to sort of find the next new thing. Discover is something that I don't know I should be looking at.
Innovation.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where we see with our customer base is a lot of them are using CI for that specific purpose. Innovation, product development, technology scouting, M&A. Not just monitoring competitors, but technology trends and macroeconomics, things like that.
So this is, I think, a direct alignment to a lot of the things that SCIP is really proposing to do in the forward-looking aspect. We've been talking now from a SCIP standpoint of, obviously the competitive intelligence foundational cornerstone, as I like to call it, will always be that in the SCIP environment, the SCIP value prop. But now we're branching off into what we call the intelligence ecosystem, and all of these things that are beyond just the competitive nature. You mentioned about M&A, you mentioned about innovation, supply chain, healthcare, all these other types of application areas that organizations are really looking to do from a forward-looking and getting your business competitive edge in this environment. And that's something that I think we as a intelligence community really needs to get our arms around. And I think what you're developing in the future, future thought around the product that you provide is in that scene, right?
Yeah, and then it's much more, I think intelligence is in that sense becoming much more strategic. It's not just, tactical intelligence is important. It's important to know sort of what your competitors are doing and benchmarking with them. And that's important, but it's not the most difficult and challenging. It's much harder to, yeah, as you say, foresight and what's next.
Yep.
And instead of just looking maybe 1 or 2 years ahead in time, I think that time perspective is becoming different. People are trying to figure out what's going to happen in the next, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
If CI can play a role in that,
Yeah.
then I think CI has a very big role to play.
So the time element, I think, is a challenging point because the way, how fast the world moves today, you've got to be able to have information and content that you can act upon today.
Yeah.
You can't do this batch processing that was common in the old days, right?
Yeah.
You got to have content that you can act upon real time, as close to real time as possible.
Yeah.
But then your point about the 2-year, 5-year, 10-year horizon, the foresights and scenario planning is absolutely super critical. So in that sense, of course, you got to have the AI discussion, right?
Yeah.
And everyone says AI. If you're not relevant, you got to at least say those 2 letters in your vernacular, or else people ignore you, right? Well, what does that really mean? How does that play a part in the future of Martell's products and services?
Obviously, I mean, we are a software technology provider. Obviously, AI is a big component in that. But AI means so many things.
Yeah.
It's almost like saying IT. I mean, AI is, I mean, you can summarize things and you can analyze things and categorize and it can help you publish. There's so many things that you can do with AI. And so, of course, that will play a huge role for anyone working with competitive intelligence. But I think there's so much more still. We've only seen the very beginnings of AI.
It's just a drop in the bucket right now in terms of the potential.
Exactly. So I think, I mean, if you look five years ahead, then AI will be able to do fantastic things.
So that in itself could be a 2-hour podcast.
Yes, and we should do that. We should.
I would love
do
to.
a 2-hour podcast on the role of AI.
Well, we call it a workshop.
Yeah.
But so bringing this back home now, you've been a tremendous partner with SCIP over the past, and we truly value your partnership that we have with you now, and want to continue that going forward. Tell me, I'm not looking for kudos. I'm looking for a realistic perspective. Well, of course, all right. I'm looking for a little bit, maybe a little attaboy or pat on the back. But tell me more about the relationship with SCIP and how do you see it moving
As you said,
forward?
I mean, we've been SCIP members for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
I think it's super important that there is an industry association. And especially now that there's so much happening,
Yep.
and also that it's global. I mean, we are a European company. SCIP was founded in the US, but I think it's important that SCIP expands and becomes more global in that sense. That's very important for us.
Yeah, well, that's definitely in our roadmap. The globalization of SCIP is one of the major tenets that I have as a challenge for the SCIP, and to bring partners like yourselves into this global nature so that the footprint of the intelligence ecosystem and the awareness and thought leadership becomes more prevalent on a global scale.
Yeah. No, and also I think intelligence means different things in the US and Europe and in Asia, and how you handle information, and it's challenging, I think, in different cultures and different languages.
And that's exactly why I think you can't paint intelligence with a very wide brush across the globe. No. You've got to have a fine brush or a surgical, because like you say, the intelligence in certain parts of the world are going to mean very different things than in other parts.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Well, hey, I want to thank you so much for spending the time with me on this.
Thank you so much.
This is great. It's always great working with you and talking with you, Jesper.
My pleasure.
And definitely looking forward to doing more exciting things with you in the future.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, folks.